What's up, everybody? So it is Tuesday for me, and I'm back out here at the bowling alley. I'm going to attempt to build on yesterday's practice, and like I was saying at the end of yesterday's vlog, I'm going to really try to focus in on those first few steps of my approach. You know, now that I'm carrying the ball a lot longer in the start of my approach, it feels very awkward. So I need to get more used to that. I'm going to work on that a little bit and try and get a little bit more used to that feeling, and I think I'm going to work on my timing just a little bit as well. So on top of that, I think I'm also going to try to find out if there's a way that I can get that kind of ball speed with maybe 6 steps or 5 steps, just to experiment. Again, going back to something I've said before, sometimes you have to experiment before you're able to really know for sure whether something is possible or not. And who knows, there could be a way to gain that kind of speed with a 5-step approach, which is what I'm used to. And, you know, as far as the 7 steps versus 5 steps, the only downside really to the 7 steps is the fact that you're so much further back on the approach. You're kind of taking out a bunch of area on the lane. You know, by the time you get to, 35 with your feet, you're running out of approach. And then you have to start doing 3 steps in front of the ball return just to make shots. And of course, that brings your speed way down. So anyway, it requires some additional experimentation. Okay, so I'm all warmed up. I'm going to begin with working on my timing actually, and to do that, I'm going to start with my ball start timing. So I'm going to focus on making sure I'm holding onto the ball during the proper number of steps, and then placing the ball into motion during the right step. I'm going to do that 2 or 3 times and then throw a shot. Okay, so I'm feeling pretty good actually. I did several drills there where I just did ball start drills, taking my first few steps holding onto the ball, putting the ball into motion at the proper time. I also tried to focus on staying up because I have a tendency to really collapse. And when you collapse like that, if you collapse too much, it can really kill a lot of the energy and momentum you have going to the approach. So overall, I feel pretty good about that. I feel like my timing is pretty decent, at least with 5 steps. I'm going to play around a little bit with my approach and kind of see, if I can generate the same amount of speed I was generating yesterday with 7 steps, with only 5 steps, because if I can generate it with 5 steps, there's really no reason to add those 2 additional steps, especially if it starts to mess up my game a little bit. So let's see what happens. So it's only been 3 shots, and so far I think I've discovered a way to get the ball down the lane much faster with only 5 steps. I'm going to keep throwing a few shots, make sure it's consistent, and then I'll talk about basically what I discovered. Well guys, overall today it was an extremely good practice for me. You know, a lot of the changes that I made today actually came from the study I was doing of Zach Wilkins and his game. You know, he's a shorter two-hander like me. I think he's a little bit taller than I am. You know, I come in at about 5 feet 4 inches. I think he's about 5'5", maybe 5'6", somewhere around there. I actually don't know 100% what his height is. I just base that off of, you know, watching videos of him, and I've never actually met him in person, but he looks relatively short, and he's able to generate consistent ball speed of right around 20 miles an hour at his release point, which is, you know, going to be anywhere from 17 to 18 at the pins, depending on how the lanes are playing. So I saw that and I was like, you know what, if somebody like him can generate that much ball speed in 5 steps, there's no reason that I shouldn't be able to do the same thing. So I really started to focus in and watch my shoulder rotation and also my timing, because those are 2 of the primary things as a two-handed bowler that are going to affect your ball speed. If your timing is too early, it's going to cause improper shoulder rotation, and it's going to cause improper efficient transfer of energy to the ball upon the release point. And as I started looking at my timing, I did notice that I was starting to move the ball just a little bit too early in my approach for the amount of swing length that I have. So I worked on that, as you saw earlier in the video, and I really focused on making sure I was moving the ball quite a bit later, actually. I'm actually moving the ball now almost as soon as my 3rd step is beginning, as opposed to when my 2nd step is ending. So it's about a half a step later. And then that allows my shoulders to rotate more efficiently vertically instead of horizontally, which allows me to transfer so much more energy into the ball. And how did it end up? Well, you saw in the video there, I was able to stand way right with one of my pro balls that I was throwing out here yesterday when I was taking 7 steps. I was actually standing right around 18 on the approach, aiming just left a 2nd arrow and firing it. And man, that ball held line beautifully. Now, I had a few issues where I was tugging a few shots here and there, and that's just because I'm still kind of getting used to these changes that I have made. And that's going to take some time for me to get used to. So over the next several days of practice, I'm really going to focus in on that timing change, as well as that change in my shoulders, and make sure I've got it down packed. You know, I can't emphasize enough to you guys that if you're trying to improve yourself in the world of bowling, it's very important that you take video of yourself. If you got a smartphone, you've got the ability to do it. Anyway, thanks for joining me for today's practice. Leave a like on the video and please subscribe to the channel. And comment below changes that you've made to your game purely from reviewing video of your own game as well as games of the pros. I'll see you guys in the next video.